Welcome to the following presentation of Minor League Esports on the MLE Network.
Well, the sun is shining once again, and we are here, back on Minor League Esports. It's Ken Carmen, Kendo Slice, here from the chairman's office. No chair, though, as you'll notice behind me, and we are bringing you a product brought to you by APM Music, your content turned up. Of course, if I'm the rain on your parade, there's only one person who could be the Thunder, and that is Mr. Thunder. Thunder, how are you doing today, my friend?
With that intro, are you kidding me? I'm amazing. That was so good. I love it. The weather, the meteorological analogies always hit me right in the feels. But anyway, Kendo, we're starting with FL. We're going to get things introduced at a nice smooth pace here with some MLE. This is going to be, if I'm not mistaken, 2v2. Mm-hmm. So it's pretty standard stuff. We're not trying to shock anybody with like a 3v3 crazy match to start. We're going to ease everybody into it here. Yes. But I will say the records state that there's a little bit of a favorite maybe here in the stats. The Hawks have a ridiculous 22-3 record. So the Sabres, if they are going to pull off this win, it's going to be classified as an upset. You can count on that.
Yeah, in fact, we can double down on that. The Hawks, one of the best starts, if not the best start in the history of Minor League Esports, the long tenured history. I was part of a team that did something similar to a 22-3. I haven't seen it done in this fashion, the way that the Foundation League's Hawks are doing it right now. So they are a team to behold. Incognito specifically, 5.5 on the MVPR at the moment. That is beyond bonkers. Monty leading the team in MVPR with 587. So we're going to see the best that Foundation League has to offer. And for the Sabres, I love me some Goosen and I love me some Maple, but they are going to have their work cut out for them. 9-16 on the young season.
And this right at this point in the season, I was seeing it in my own franchise with the Foxes in matches that are being played where these are literal pivot point matches where, because you have two modes to juggle now between 2v2 and 3v3, there's going to be decisions made that are going to count on series results like these, where, hey, if the Sabres come with a big upset and they go 4-1 or 5-0 here, all of a sudden you feel like it's much more realistic to make a playoff run towards the end of the season. If it goes swinging way the other way, maybe not so much. So this is right, I think, that juncture in the season where the showrunners of each franchise are going to make tough decisions based on the results that teams are getting about where they want to pour most of their resources. So this match, I think, means a lot, especially for the Sabres.
Yeah, I completely agree, especially with that 9-16 record. As you said, you're starting to look here in Week 7 towards the playoffs. You could even say the road to the playoffs starts now. And if you're the Sabres, you want to remain competitive, you have to take something off of the Hawks here. The last thing that you can go through would be a sweep, which seems to be what the Hawks have made their mantra. It's their mission statement. They want to beat you and to beat you soundly. With 3 wins so far, 3 losses so far on the season. The work cut out from Maple. No Slash, though. Immediately will score this first goal.
Yeah, Maple, that is as good a start as you could possibly hope for here for the Sabres. Just really aggressive off of kickoff, spotted the kind of trouble that the Hawks were in on the back end. Look at the murk on the field from Incognito as well. I have to point it out. You don't see a Merc driving around and not give at least a shout out for that. But Incognito clearly has got room in the trunk or in the cab, whatever you call it, on a van that size to carry the team with the kind of stats that they've been putting up this season. So we'll see if that ends up being the case. But 30 seconds into this game and a little bit more than that now, and it's actually the Sabres who are leading and playing some big time defense to keep the Hawks away. That is a big stand to keep themselves in the lead.
That was a potential open net, and I'm looking for the Sabres. They need to convert on the double commits just like that one. Remain sound in your defense, and everything is possible in Foundation League. Yes, you're up against a daunting opponent, and the appointment that you have to meet is exactly that. This is a team that's only lost 3 games total on the season, and they are able to keep them off the board yet again. Maple and Goosen are showing us something, spreading their wings. Well, if Sabres had wings. Defensively and really stymieing the Hawks, who would like to start this game out flying.
Yeah, we'll say for the time being, maybe the Sabres borrowed some wings from their division mates, the Puffins, something along those lines. But whatever the Sabres are doing here, it is working so far. But this is the first time now where they're being counterattacked upon Incognito. No shot, though. The accuracy falls by the wayside there, and it's still a Sabres lead as we approach the 3-minute mark. Might be a little bit more if Goosen can get a piece of that one. Now in the corner, a boost collect, stopping the ball up a little bit. And where's Maple? So very patient, waiting for their opportunity to strike. Incognito forced to make another save here. And the pressure continues to be good, and more importantly, it's clean from the Sabres. They're really being patient about when to dive in on these plays and not leaving their back end open too often.
Haven't seen too many double commits. You've seen very few mistakes, and that is the first one that has been punishable. It's Goosen high in the box. They both go for it, and it will be a chance for Incognito. I've seen the Merc make some crazy flicks before, but not enough angle to beat both defenders. Just enough to beat the first. The initial pressure forecheck out on Goosen will keep things in the offensive zone. I like the physical play thought process there as well. Take the man off, but with no competition defensively, Incognito finally going to break through for the Hawks.
And Incognito, you could see, spotted how far back Maple was on that play and also facing away from the play. They knew that Maple was going to have to shadow on that, so they did play selection very wisely on that one to go for the, I guess we'll call it an air dribble, a single touch air dribble follow-up. But it was perfect there from Incognito, and that is now a tied game at the minute mark. Maybe not for very long. A good save out, though. And the Hawks, you get the sense they're starting to get a little bit warmed up here. They're contesting closer to the ball, and they are flying high, as their team name would suggest. The aerial nerves have been shaken off here, and I think we're going to see the Hawks team that sits at 22-3 in the season right now.
Yeah, they're definitely waiting out the mistakes from the Sabres, and Sabres haven't given them too many thus far. That is a 50-50 into a goal. Maple going to be the benefactor, but that needs to be covered on the back end.
It does. You can't entirely fault a player in twos where your resources are limited. You can't fault them for not expecting that to go straight into the net, off the ceiling, no less. But you're right that they got caught off guard in the worst possible situation there, did the Hawks. And now they're going to be in full recovery mode again. Hey, it's not going to take them very long, though, as Incognito finds another one on a quick transition out of the midfield.
Rare double commit here. Both Sabres in the same area at the same time. And Incognito has shown us throughout the season they are more than capable of punishing just that. So minute 34 still left on the clock, and I'm really looking forward to it. These two teams have been extremely even thus far. You can't help but feel, though, the Hawks, they're waiting out their chances. They are picking very strategically their attacks, and Incognito has the hat trick.
Oh, the J shot here, sweeping across the ball. You would be surprised how much power you can get from a shot like that without ever leaving the ground, and Incognito cashed in on that in a big, big way to take the lead here. That's a huge goal at a huge moment in the game for the Hawks, and you can see the resilience that this team has. It takes that in spades if you want to have as spotless a record as they have had, and it also takes goals like that. Incognito now with, if I'm not mistaken, their fourth, 2 of them assisted from Beep, but man, Incognito is really putting on a show here in game one.
That is just ridiculous, Thunder. Incognito scoring, as you said, all 4 goals, and that finish was second to none. Really well done. One of my favorite things about Foundation League is the fact that you are developing talent within your given organization and within minor league esports as a whole. Incognito definitely bound for the next level up very soon with a shot like that. That is brilliance from the Hawks. They start out behind, and it's been an all Incognito since. 40 seconds to go. The Sabres, do they still have fight in them to try to bring this one back? They do cross the midfield line. Goosen, it'll be set up well for Maple. It's going to drop down in the box. Still dangerous, but Goosen out of position. Drop straight down. Great patience from Incognito, and that is going to be an offensive charge for the Hawks. Got on. He'll be saved. It's brought back the other way.
Nice read on that passing play, too, to cut that one off. That was a great connection between Hawks to try and add a 5th goal to their tally here. The Sabres might grab one in the dying moments of the game. The shot not quite on target. Incognito's going to filter this one down the field and out of danger. And the Hawks come storming back after the Sabres had a strong start to take game number 1 and prove exactly why they are the team to beat in doubles in Foundation League.
Despite the Sabres' early efforts, which were extremely impressive, it was the Incognito show, and there was nothing avert your eyes about the performance. It was all eye-catching, if you ask me. 12 shots to the Sabres 3, and if you would have told me that that was the shot differential at the beginning of the game after seeing the Sabres start out with the 2 goals early and really putting this Hawks team on their back foot, I wouldn't have believed you.
No, and you know what? It felt to me as though there was definitely a period of catching the Hawks off guard before they had their nerves shaken off and got warmed up into the game. But once the Hawks swung into their rhythm, their regular rhythm of play, it became very apparent that the Sabres were hesitant to send too much pressure upfield and try to contain the Hawks in their end. It was only ever one chance at a time on net, and their second player was sitting way far back, anticipating a long clear or just trying to protect the back end. But I think from the Sabres here, it's going to take a team effort up front if they want to not just get a couple goals in a game, if they want to win games against the Hawks in this series.
It's the Foundation League where you work on your foundations, and right now the Hawks have it together. Beep, bing, bong, bop. That's the goal, and we are probably never going to say that name again here live on stream.
Probably. I'm glad you attempted it because I think it lets me off the hook of having to try that. But it's a shame they couldn't have, I don't know, like a boost sound or a goal explosion sound that sounded something along the lines of what their name is trying to say. That would be so fitting. Meanwhile, Incognito driving home another goal for themselves. This is 2-0 for the Hawks, 16 seconds in, and it really looks like they're now settling into business as usual for them.
The Sabres rotations that were so solid have gone extinct here early in game number 2. 16 seconds. And the Hawks can do no wrong. You have to make sure you get a little bit of pressure out early. Otherwise, it's going to be a rough time. You give the Hawks too much of that, and they've shown that they can keep the scoreline on their side.
Now in the middle of the field here, Goosen's going to try to apply some pressure back the other way. Gets pretty unceremoniously booted from that part of the field and sent back onto defense. Maple's going to pick this one up and head down that right side. Tries to chip into the mid. Great pass. Goosen's shot. Nicely saved away at the outset by Incognito, who's now got a chance back the other way. That flick sent a little wide. Beat can't get a piece of that one on the other side. Maple here on the side wall misses once. This is a second time. Ooh, big misplay though from the Hawks. It's an open back end. Got to hit that open net, and Incognito comes storming back the speed. Just not quite there for Goosen. I think Boost was lacking just enough.
It will be Maple though in the midfield, really breaking on, and all of a sudden the Sabres have found their legs once again, moving with all 4 of them in the offensive zone. Can they keep the rotation up? Can they keep the pressure up? Can the shot go in? Not quite. Incognito just able to keep that out despite facing backward. It's still a chance, though, for the Sabres to keep the pressure on a team bump. That'll lead to an open net, and Beep will convert the Hawks up 3-0.
Oh, so unfortunate, too, that it was at the end of Maple's flip animation here. Not a conscious choice by them to drive into their teammate. You'd hope it never was between teammates, but there it was just one of those things. They had a teammate rotating back ball side and ran into one another. And that open net, it plagued the Sabres, actually. They were given one back the other way and couldn't convert on it. But it looks like the Hawks, when presented with the opportunity, they are more than happy to convert every time on those shots.
One of the things that early on in Rocket League I learned is that even the bots, they seem to have that aim bot to them when it comes down to it. So you learn early. You don't give your opponent opportunities, even when those open nets can be slow rollers in. Incognito, they don't need a slow roller or a straight ball onto net. They can put that in at a surprising angle, and that is exactly what we got there from the Hawks, who are large and in charge at the moment. 4-0. We haven't even reached halftime, Thunder, and already the storm is brewing.
It is, although Maple trying to play spoiler a little bit here on the shutout. Went for the bump as well on Incognito. Goosen can't get the shot on target. Clear's going to come through here as Incognito gathers boost in the mid. Tries to chip it past. Nice touch away there from Maple to the opposite side. Goosen to the corner. Beep is waiting there. Very uncomfortable on defense. It's a wide open net. Goosen comes storming in at the last possible second. And now, after more than half the game has elapsed, the Sabres finally get on the board.
Yeah, if you don't get this goal, you feel extremely bad. That's demoralizing. They get a little bit of solace here. It's a tiny bit, a minuscule amount of momentum going back into that corner. And if
Maybe
they
more.
can keep things going, there's a little bit more. It builds and it builds and it builds, Thunder. Can they keep this up?
What a shot here from Maple. Just made no mistake on that shot. Great speed on the aerial. Power. The placement, I mean, didn't need much of anything except be on net. There was no goaltender to compete with that one. And that's exactly what the Sabres need here. Now, we've got a scoreline that we left with in game number 1. And the Hawks being up 4-2, I think they're going to want to try to add to what they have built so far. The flick attempt there from Beat, but it's still dangerous in the mid. A bump in the back, and Maple. That bump, that interruption coming off of the opposite side was just enough to leave that shot opportunity open.
That's the thing, Beep. It's exactly what you need to do, especially in a twos environment. You put the ball into a favorable spot, force a favorable 50-50, and then you look for blood. Whether it be a demo, whether it be a bump, disrupt the rotation behind it. Give your secondary man a chance, and that is executed to a T. Both of these teams slowly but surely resorting to disruption, resorting to violence, and I'm all here for it, Thunder. I feel like that may be a key to disrupting the Hawks. You just need to make sure you don't overcommit too hard when you do it, because the Hawks are always seeming to be there. 50-50, that'll be high, lofted up. Beep will just choose to allow Maple to play it on, and that'll be a clear all the way down for the Sabres.
And onto the sidewall we are now with Maple in the middle of the field. Great chip into the mid. Incognito barely getting the right piece of that one to send it out to the wide side here. Goosen into the mid. We'll see if Maple can handle this aerial play. They can, and then some. That's going to bounce off the backboard, but Goosen had to peel on the play. It must have been an empty boost tank for them, and yeah, you could see there as they pick up the penny, they had nothing in the tank. Great contest there from Maple. Not sure if I ended up being the difference maker on that one, but the Sabres they are hanging in here in a lot of ways that are super positive for the team. It may be 5-2 for the Hawks here, but when you're playing a team that is this strong and you're playing them so evenly on a lot of spaces on the field, this is positive for the series in general, and you get the sense the Sabres might be able to pick things up here, but you know what, I worry that the Hawks might have another gear when I see the way that they play.
I agree with you, especially with punishment on mistakes and overcommits just like that one. Beep doesn't necessarily need to do anything extravagant. Just remain present on ball. The mistake comes in and it's punishable. Throw the ball on an open net. That's been the Hawks' offense, 3 of the 6 goals we've seen thus far. And for the Sabres, you have to be a little wiser with the challenge selection. That's an open net. Just wide,
Very
though.
open. Very. Under the sidewall here now. Incognito has put that in a very dangerous spot. Maple storming in. Beep only needed a tiny piece of that ball to make it successful. Incognito's going to try to wrap around this one. 6-2 though here. I think is going to be the final scoreline for the game as that one touches the ground. The Hawks, that's even more commanding than game number 1. And like I said, there were signs of positivity here for the Sabres. But they essentially need that consistently through an entire game, I think, to take one here against the Hawks.
I mean, we did as much complimenting of the Hawks as we possibly could. And you look at the stat line, 7 shots, 6 goals. That is the type of efficiency that wins championships. And for the Hawks, if you keep stuff like that up, all you have to do is wait for the mistakes. Foundation League, it's one of my favorite leagues in the world because anything can happen, but there are mistakes. If there's one thing that we can say definitively, every single Foundation League match, there will be a great many mistakes. I believe they called it Whiff Wars at one point, in jest, of course. But the fact is, the Hawks are making their goal to be there, to punish the mistakes, because odd man rushes off of mistakes are a much higher percentage than trying to set your offense up against an already firm defense.
It's true, and it just feels like the mechanical consistency the Hawks have to work with means that they choose when they want to punish. They pick their opportunities, and when they want to strike, they're usually going to put that ball on net or at least in a threatening spot for one another. And that consistency is really putting them over the top here in multiple games so far in this series. And that's the quality of touches that has just been lacking a little bit from the Sabres. It's not that they don't have the capacity for that quality at all. I think they just can't quite do it as often as the Hawks have been in this series.
I think we are in agreement there. First 30 seconds gone by. The Sabres are remaining steadfast against the physical presence of the Hawks. I'm loving the 1-1 offense we're getting. One person pressing forward, being an absolute nuisance, trying to get through. The other one lurking right around midfield, ready for a weak clear and to power it back in. That is close, but Mabel will trap it down and out. Goosen. Potential to go for the physical play. I thought Goosen might. Decides to turn back a little too late. That may be punishable. And Beep will do just that. Open net shoots, and it's wide. The Hawks. I mean, I'm pretty sure they're going to get more opportunities just like that one, but mercy, that one needs to go in.
And if they don't, the pass, please finish on that. Goose and flick over top. Thank you. We get to see the replay on that pass play. It's probably one of the best the Sabres have made all series. Maple, that pass, so sweet over to their compatriot there. And the Sabres are going to take the opening lead here again like they did in game number 1.
Sometimes all you need is the lightest caress on the ball, and that is exactly what we got on that pass from Maple. Made it look as much as possible like Maple was going towards the net. So Sabres first blood again didn't help them in game number 1. And at this point, it's looking like it's angering the Hawks. They're coming through with more physicality. And the more I watch this team, the more I want to draw comparisons to a feathered waterfowl team from season 4. But I'm not going to do it, Thunder. I'm not going to do it. That is Goosen, the chance for the punish, and the Sabres are up 2 again.
They are up 2 and punishing the Hawks here for rare mistakes. These openings haven't come very often in the series, but they are arriving here now, and credit to the Sabres for capitalizing on those openings. So the Hawks, they have got their work cut out for them in this series. Maybe a little less, though, because they just cut the lead in half with a very quick kickoff from Incognito.
Take a look at this Incognito. That is a fast kickoff. My goodness. And no one home. No one home for the Sabres. They cut the lead in half. There is still 2 minutes, 58 seconds to go. Both players going to miss here, and that might have been a disservice. Maple probably should have gone full on and full bore. Still backward. Will make the save. And we'll try to carry through Beep. Not enough power. The ball just waiting for Beep to push it through.
Oh, and Maple here had a choice to go wide or inside. And carrying the ball back into the shooting lane, if you're going to make that play, you better make it quickly, because you can count on getting a challenge from an offender when you float that thing in front of your net. And Maple just couldn't get a handle on the ball quick enough to flick it out of the way. And again, hey, if the Sabres are willing to punish mistakes, you can bet the Hawks are definitely willing to do that too. And they have tied this game in a hurry, although here's a chance back the other way for the Sabres. Chip over top, still threatening. Beep gets that clear out of the zone as Goosen looks very uncomfortable on the back end, and this might swing entirely back the other way. The chip, pass, incognito, the shot. What a passing connection from the Hawks. And they have come back from 2-0 down to take the lead at the halfway mark of the game.
Really solid stuff, and this is vintage pass play using the back wall. It's something that the Hawks haven't gone to, I would say, enough, Thunder, because in Foundation League, the back wall can be your friend. It creates those stalled out circumstances.
Goosen here, chips to the side wall. Now to the mid, incognito slams one up into the air. Gonna follow up on that as well. You got a sense that there's a goal coming, and incognito finds it there, and they really have been owning the aerial space in this series in a big way. Maple just completely caught off guard from the speed.
Yeah, that is brilliant stuff. Incognito will be able to take it on their own. 4 straight goals for the Hawks now, and as I was saying, take it up the sidewall. Stalls the ball out, creates dangerous spots in the box. They don't really need any sideball action, though. They are drilling the Sabres from long distance. Beep with the pickup, and oh boy, the Sabres, the holes in the rotation once again being found.
In a big way. And this is, again, that consistency that I was pointing to of touches. The quality of touches from the Hawks is just so often so good. And you're going to see another one there just be rung off the post. Great touch away from Maple, who stopped the oncoming incognito, who wanted to find a little bit more. Maple trying to dive in there and fish for either a double tap or a bump. Probably could have gone for either one, but gets neither of them, and the Sabres still sit down by 3 goals here. And the Hawks, they are doing exactly what they need to after an uncharacteristic start to the game. Again, they've settled into the rhythm that they want, and it looks like they are not going to let this one go the same way that they have in previous games.
Most likely not. For the Hawks, they continue their run of dominance, very least. 70 seconds to defend a 3-goal lead, and they will have yet another series win and move to 6-0 on the season. But of course, with minor league esports, you play the full 5 in the set of 5 for the stats, so that everything can be rounded out. Going to be the Sabres with the questions that need answered, and the Hawks with the teacher's key at the moment. That'll be high off the backboard. It's in the box for Beep. Shot on will be just wide. And Incognito looks to pick this up. Cannot power through Goosen, but Beep is there. Great back and forth. The Hawks working together.
And the Sabres trying their best to work together as well. But the speed here from the Hawks on rotation and circling around for this pressure is so good. They're picking up pennies of boost to keep themselves engaged on the play when they need to. And the pressure is just unrelenting from them. So it's going to be an even bigger lead here. I think the same lead that we saw the Hawks earn for themselves at the end of the previous game. But this time it's going to sting that much more, because this is going to mean that it is 3-0 in the series for the Hawks. And the Sabres are going to have to say goodbye to their chances of taking the series overall win. At this point, they're going to be fighting for a little bit of a redemption round in the last 2 games to keep the series close. But this thing really, you think it could get out of hand if the Hawks keep playing the way they are, because they're just so dominant on both ends of the field.
I love every second of it, though. The Hawks have looked, as you said, dominant. Another 15 shots, and at this point, you look at the Sabres and you throw your hands up. What do they have to do to beat this Hawks team, which is simply through 3 games outclassed them in almost every single stat. It's been extremely impressive on the side of the Hawks, and I'm not saying that by any means to down the Sabres. Just, I personally, in their circumstance, I'm putting myself in their axles. I don't know what I would do.
I don't necessarily know either. I don't think I have a magic fix-all for the Sabres in this particular instance, but I think it might just be leaning on the positives that we've seen in the series, because it hasn't been devoid of them for the Sabres. There have been great notes here on passing plays they've been able to connect on, good defensive stands, and things like that. And as I said, it just doesn't come as often as it does for the Hawks. So I think the Sabres need to acknowledge where their advantages are. Either that, or you can forget everything I just said, and they just need to slam shots from the midfield off the crossbar and catch the Hawks off guard.
Yeah, they're doing a good job with that. I'm not sure it's a sustainable plan, Thunder, but I will say they have executed it to a T when the opportunity has presented itself. The problem is, eventually, the Sabres' tooth may fall out. Oh, this is a demo attempt. Incognito. Back end. Maple avoided it, but it puts him just enough out of position that Veep is able to put that through.
This is such a clean dribble play, too. Just cutting inside to bait out at least one defender, get them to bite on the play, knowing full well they had control of the ball the entire time and they were going to swing back for that ground shot. That's textbook 1v, well, you would say 1v1. It was a 1v2 against the 2 waiting defenders on the back end there for the Sabres. But Beep, my goodness, we sung the praises of Incognito quite a bit because of their performance early in the series. But Beep has been here every step of the way as well for the Hawks and contributing to this offense in a whole bunch of great ways.
By the look of it, Beep, a new player on the roster as well. And showing us something as Incognito will put another goal through the Hawks. So dominant as we see the Sabres missing the challenge. Goosen missing the challenge on the back end as well. And the Hawks will fly. My goodness. Sabres willing to clip the wings, but haven't been able to find the secret formula or a pair of scissors for that matter. And that's a weak touch. Will he be punished? Beep almost got in the way of an Incognito shot that did not make contact there. It's just a feels bad moment right now for Sabres fans because the Hawks still looking so in control. And the Sabres, at this point, they just look like they're throwing whatever they can at the net, hoping it sticks.
Well, they hope so. Sabres fans are hoping so, too, because this is a good passage of pressure here. Probably the longest we've seen in the entire series so far for the Sabres. A great pass made is going to go straight to Goosen. Fires that shot home, and they cash in on that long stand of pressure, which is crucial, too. You don't want to lead to have that be a counterattack back the other way after all that work you did. It's great to capitalize upon that, and the Hawks now, where is that next gear that they have kept finding every single game when the Sabres make it close? The Hawks find a way, and they now they have to do that again here as the game's been tied on them.
Maple's going to get a decent play off of this kickoff, and now Goosen using to shadow the push towards the offensive zone. The forecheck, real good, and the Sabres starting to work the corner, and I gotta say, Thunder, the fact is, if you want to beat a team that's showing you really good offense, you have to keep control of the ball and keep the ball out of their hands in said offensive end. And right now, the Sabres doing a great job of slowing the pace of play down once they get into the offensive zone. It's a high lofted touch from Maple. That's going to be an open net for Goosen. Shot scores! And the Sabres take the lead.
What a pass. Maple does it again with the assist work. Look at that touch. The ball went nowhere laterally. Literally just popped it straight up in the air and said, hey, Goosen, here's the silver platter. Here's the meal. Go to town. It's like that. It's the kind of pass as the second player in a twos team that you dream about getting to shoot that one on an entirely open net.
Oh, the chance for another open net. Maple instead will take that to the side as we pass halftime here in game number 4. The Sabres desperately looking to change their fortune and have a bit of momentum with which to do it, as well as some physical play to keep this ball in the offensive zone. Beep, backward touch. It's going to be a turnover to Goosen. Initial push on. It could be open for Maple. Maple leaving early on it. Double commit. And Goosen stuck in a foot race back. Does get enough of a challenge that it will quell the initial push, but dangerous touch as Pete puts it on net. Incognito will just reach across and grab it. The Hawks look to recoup.
Uh-oh, this is trouble, though. Back the other way for the Sabres. Incognito, great touch into the mid. Goosen's got to get in the way, and they do. And now the Sabres have got a chance back the other way in the hands of Maple. They hit it far too high. Open net, back the other way. Goosen streaking across, but they can't get there. And finally, the Hawks find their way through on some midfield inconsistency, and they just slam home the open net to tie the game here. We're at a minute and a half of what has undoubtedly been the best game in the series so far, and we are tied as it should be.
Only 35 miles an hour on that goal, but credit to Incognito noticing wide open net. Just put it on net. Take the shot. And the execution, once again, very crisp for someone who may just be the Foundation League MVP at the moment. Again, development of this Hawks team is superb. And I get the feeling that both of these players may be moving up sooner than later. You gotta love the development game here in Minor League Esports. Beep will score, and that is yet another control here. Brilliant.
Oh, my goodness. Beep in this game in particular, I mean all series long, but this game, the dribble plays have been so spotless, it is ridiculous. And that one caps off surely an MVP performance for this game. Oh, the Sabres are coming in hot, though. Goosen on the aerial shot from the pass from Maple almost tied the game yet again. And the Sabres are really going to push here. They do not, after how close this game has been, they do not want to let it fall by such a narrow margin at such a late stage in the game, too. That ball is going to dance just wide of the net. Maple now picking up the ball along the sidewall. A chance to grab boost here. It gets stolen away, though, by Beep. Still makes the challenge. Still makes another touch there, but it's not going to get far enough mid. A big bump by Goosen in the corner, and Beep, though, is going to pick up the possession. It's Beep on a dribble play. You got to worry about that. Beep is always looking for those clean dribble plays, and now here's the final chance for the Sabres. Chipped into their zone. The ball still lofting in the air. Incognito just has to get it down. They're going to look for another goal here, are the Hawks. The audacity of this team to keep looking for more. And they take a nail biter here to take, I believe that is now 4-0 in the series. And they just keep on winning. And when the team has a record of 22-3, you should expect that they're going to do a whole lot of winning in a series, that's for sure.
Yeah, they're going to put the ball on the net. 12 shots yet again. 3 games of the 4, they've done double-digit shots. In the one game they didn't, they scored over 80% of the shots that they put on. So it's been extremely impressive. They have shown great lethality, Thunder, and they've struck more often than not.
They really have. And the Sabres keep making progress in that series. I think if you do a replay review, you look back at this series after you cool off from it surely being a disappointing loss, you will see signs of positivity for this team in the way that they have tried to adapt their game as the series has gone along against a team that just has game in spades. And they're going to put it on again here at the beginning of the game, are the Hawks, to take an early lead. But it's been a game of adaptation, and the Sabres trying to figure out what they can do to steal a game in this series. But they're going to have to do a little bit more figuring here because they're down early in game number 5.
Now, once again, the Hawks will go up early off of great aerial control, and that is some impressive stuff from the Hawks as they yet again have the Sabres on the back foot. Goosen, though, that's an open net just wide off the bar and out. Needs to convert that. But it would have been a brilliant display of comeuppance to respond so quickly. Oh, Incognito, though, will score second.
Incognito makes it 2-0. Maple needed the curve here. I think that's what they were looking for, too, in that hit towards the back wall. But it was just high enough to come out flat. And Incognito surely waiting with bated breath to see the result of that touch. That's the exact result they wanted. And the speed kickoff, again, cashes in here for the Hawks. At this level of play, if you can pull a kickoff like that off consistently, you will score a lot of outright goals on kickoffs by doing that.
And that's the thing. If you can't adjust, or if you try to adjust to that, you're still losing the kickoff to the strong side, and it has a chance of finding its way in. So the adjustments, it really is to learn a fast kickoff yourself, because it's so hard to defend when you don't have that in your arsenal. Credit to Incognito here in the Foundation League, already having brilliant mechanical prowess. You love to see it. You love to see the development of talent within this league. Here comes Beep. They'll control this through the midfield. Incognito is there to further the ball into the corner. Shot on will be saved across and ushered to the side by Maple. Incognito full on boost. It's all boost, no break whatsoever. And the Hawks, I mean, they can afford to do so. They're up by 3 with only a minute and a half gone.
And they look as comfortable, I think, as they ever have in this series. The Sabres have yet to do anything much that has been truly threatening. And certainly unfortunate for the Sabres fans here who wanted to see them end things off on a positive note. It looked like the team was headed that way after the progress they were making. But the Hawks are just so darn good at Rocket League. I think you can pretty much make it as cut and dried as that.
And I don't think you can feel too bad right now if you are the Sabres, because this is a Hawks team that's on a record-setting pace. There are very few teams in the history of this league that have done as well as the Hawks are doing right now. So you're not the first team to potentially get wiped the way that the Sabres have gotten wiped, and credit to the Sabres. They're putting up a great fight. That's going to be a shot towards the net. Goosen yet again with the punish. They're doing a great job, tit for tat, smacking back when they are given the opportunity.
It's true. Unfortunately for the Sabres, those mistakes haven't come quite as often in this game, in the last couple of games. But the game of efficiency on capitalizing is still there for the Sabres, and there is a wealth of time left to play in this game here, where the Sabres might be able to get themselves one, if not two more, and send us to what I think would be a very fitting overtime to end the series, because we've had increasingly close games between the Hawks and Sabres here. We'll see what the Sabres can do now in the final just over 2 minutes of this game. Game 5 of this Foundation League series here, and Goosen now kicks down to that far corner, trying to get some offensive pressure started here for the Sabres. That's a nice touch into the mid. But Incognito very ready for that, looking to follow up on the touch, and that looks a whole lot like the first goal they scored in game number 1. Just that aerial touch and a brilliant follow-up to make it 4-1.
Yeah, that's really good stuff, and Incognito impressing me more and more throughout this series. Oh my! That is really good stuff from the Hawks. They're showing us why that they are the best in Foundation League right now, and who can blame them with plays like that, mechanics like that? It's going to be tough to beat the Hawks going down the road. It's going to be Goosen straight to the side, just allowing time to peel its way off of the clock. Goosen may be looking. That's the way I thought for a second there you're going to see the demo. It'd be a dirty demo onto the lack of vision, because you saw the ball there in the corner. If you're on ball cam at that point, it's a blind demo. Tough angle out of the corner, but I do like the play at this point, being down by 3 with 1:20 to go.
Yeah, it's going to take a certain amount of nerve here and just a willingness to dive in on some stuff for the Sabres to find at least another goal for themselves in this final game here. I think it would do wonders for their mentality. And hey, Maple, as if on command, finds that goal with a snapshot from right down the middle.
I'm interested to know how many goals have been scored against this Hawks squad throughout the season and how well the Sabres rank up against them, because that is 11 goals on the series. And I'm going to be completely honest, while 11 goals in 5 games is not the highest amount, just the level of dominance that we've seen from the Hawks so far, it feels like it's really good, and Goosen gonna score another.
They just continue to thread the needle on these shots. Goosen got Axel locked on the wall, and it drew Beep in on the play thinking that they had an advantage, but somehow Goosen shook free, gets the shot on target. And hey, we got a game on our hands here. There's a little under a minute left to play, and 1 goal here to find a tied game for the Sabres.
And they do it. I no rooting interest whatsoever, but I'd love to see it at this point. The overtime, definitely something would call for, and Goosen gonna score and tie the game.
Goosen on a dime capitalizes on the mistake. Beep misses the touch out of the corner, and look at the power on that shot. 113 kilometers an hour. That is a slammer, maybe one of the fastest, if not the fastest shot we've seen all series. And the Sabres are doing this. Oh, did I really? I cursed it. Seriously? Guys, give me a chance here. I was just trying to make a positive note about how we might get to see an overtime, and the Sabres miss along the sidewall. This is heartbreaking here, and I think all of the fans of the team in orange out there are now holding their breath even more so than they were about 30 seconds ago.
34 seconds, and I appreciate Goosen feeling froggy and jumping, but might not have been in the time. Maple's got the back of his teammate, though, and this may be exactly what they need. They tie the game up yet again. Beep was there. So brilliant placement on the shot off the kickoff. Maybe another one in the cards. We'll see as 31 seconds. Goosen wins the kickoff, and that will be Beep who fields it all the way into the offensive zone. Cycles the corner. Big demo, though. We'll back things up for the Hawks rotation. Incognito is there trying to control Maple. Through the corner, the scrum is there, and Incognito will come out on top. Down into the offensive zone, looks to fake it, powers through. That's a Merc shot if I've ever seen it, and they score 6-5.
Oh my goodness, is it? I mean, it's a good thing that the Merc is not a DLC card, because people would be shouting pay to win right now. That thing on a 50-50 is unstoppable, and Incognito cashes in to take yet another Hawks lead here. Now 3 seconds, Maple, or Goosen rather, on the ball, trying to get this up the wall and keep the possession. It's gonna fall down. Full marks to both teams here in that final deciding game for putting on a show, for the Sabres constantly being unwilling to give up in that game, and the Hawks, at the end of the day, just proving exactly why we touted them as the favorite coming into this series.
Yeah, and the Hawks, they move up to 27-3, and I know that is the best record through 30 games. That's insanity out of this squad. So that is some brilliant stuff for them thus far. And Thunder, I mean, I'm going to be perfectly honest. The Sabres continued to adjust. They got better, and they can walk away with their heads held high, but they're going to have to grow back their teeth after that one.
Yeah, it's going to be gutting at first to go down 5-0 in that series, as is always the case. With no exceptions, being swept does not feel great. But I hope that they've got the perspective to look at what improvements were made in that series, because if you're facing any team except the Hawks, who are 22-3, those are positives that turn into series wins for you, and at the very least taking games in series. And meanwhile, on the other end for the Hawks, keep doing this. It's working really well, and like you said, they've got the best record I think anybody has ever had to start off a season. So you're ticking all the boxes right now, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's very impressive stuff, but we have more impressive on the night. That was just game 1 of 4 for you. Gonna be Masters League that we move up to, and the Ducks and the Eclipse on the opposite side of this break. You don't want to go away. You're watching Minor League Esports.